I really had a tough time today, but I'm most happy about being able to compete and show up at a level like this.
From underdog to threat, Eala versus Donna Vekić. It began as a match no one expected to make waves. It ended with the tennis world stunned, questioning what they thought they knew. A rising star who refused to play scared, breaking through with courage and composure. A veteran forced to confront a loss that challenged everything she believed about control and experience. Now, just days later, the two are set to meet again at the Kooyong Classic. The stakes may be unofficial, but the rivalry is real. Every point will carry memory, momentum, and pride. What started as an upset now threatens to become one of the most compelling rivalries on tour. And the question is, who will claim the first psychological advantage tomorrow? The ASB Classic in Auckland began as a quiet, early-round tournament, a place where matches often pass without headlines. But for Eala and Donna Vekić, this day would mark the beginning of something far larger. It would be the first sparks of a rivalry that could define a generation. Vekić walked onto the court with the weight of experience. She had years of top-level tennis behind her, the ability to control rallies, dictate tempo, and close matches before an opponent even found her rhythm. She carried confidence and a subtle assumption. This match was hers to win. Eala arrived with nothing to lose and everything to prove. She didn't carry the burden of expectation. She didn't have a reputation to defend. Her game was built on courage, on curiosity, and on the freedom to push without restraint. In the first set, Vekic's dominance seemed inevitable. She executed her patterns cleanly, served accurately, and maintained control in rallies, taking the opening set 6-4. At that point, the crowd saw what they expected, a routine result, the veteran asserting authority over the rising star. But the match's narrative began to shift quietly. Eala didn't panic. She didn't play with desperation. Instead, she adjusted. She extended rallies, varied angles, and forced Vekić into uncomfortable positions. Every shot, every step seemed measured yet fearless. By the midpoint of the second set, the momentum was tilting ever so slightly. Vekic's comfortable control was slipping, replaced by subtle doubt, small hesitations, the kind that only come when a player realizes they're being tested in a way they didn't anticipate. Eala took the second set 6-4, and suddenly the match became about more than scores. It became about presence, about assertion. The underdog was no longer playing quietly. She was making a statement. Vekić tried to recalibrate, to force her authority back, but the rhythm had shifted. Eala's composure, precision, and timing had grown stronger with each point. By the third set, it was clear. This was no fluke. Every point mattered. Every rally carried psychological weight. When Eala closed out the match 4-6, 6-4, 6-4, it wasn't just a win. It was the birth of a rivalry. The tennis world noticed immediately. Fans debated, pundits replayed critical points, and commentators wondered aloud if something significant had just begun. Vekic's loss wasn't just a slip in form, it was a challenge to her authority, a signal that a younger, fearless player was rising to claim space on the tour. The rivalry had started silently, in points, footwork, and strategy, but its impact was loud. This wasn't simply a one-time upset, it was a warning, a first line drawn in the sand between youth and experience. Every time Eala steps on the court now, that match hangs in the air. Every time Vekić plays, it is a reminder of the unexpected challenge she faced and must now prepare for in the rematch. And once a rivalry is born on the court, it never sleeps. Every glance, every point, every match becomes part of the story. The Kooyong Classic is meant to feel relaxed, a warm-up before the main tour events begin. But for Eala and Donna Vekić, tomorrow's match will carry the intensity of a battle that has already begun in memory. This isn't about prize money or rankings. It's about unfinished business, a rivalry that started in Auckland and is demanding continuation. The stakes may be unofficial, but the psychological pressure is real. Every swing, every serve, every rally will carry the weight of the past and the anticipation of what's to come. Alex Eala will walk onto the court with confidence. She has already proven she can overcome Vekić, and that belief will sharpen her focus. Tomorrow, she won't be underestimated. Her timing, her composure, her ability to control the pace of rallies, all will be under the spotlight. Every point will be an opportunity to assert dominance, to remind the world that the Auckland win wasn't a fluke, but a sign of something larger. She will not simply participate. She will challenge. She will test Vekić at every opportunity. Vekić, meanwhile, will step onto the court with memory and determination. She has replayed each critical moment in Auckland countless times, and tomorrow she will carry every lesson with her. She will look to regain control, to reassert authority over a player who has already forced her to question her dominance. The veteran knows the risks. The margin for error is smaller than ever, and every decision will be scrutinized by her own expectations as much as by the audience watching. The tension will be palpable from the first point. Both players know each other now. They know patterns, strengths, weaknesses, and tendencies. They know the feeling of momentum shifting in a single rally. And while the crowd may see an exhibition, on the court, it will feel like the opening round of a high-stakes match with a rivalry that is just beginning to take shape. Tomorrow, the match will be about more than points. It will be about belief, about pride, about proving who controls the narrative. Alex Eala will be looking to confirm her rise, to demonstrate that Auckland was only the beginning. Vekić will be looking to remind the world that experience still matters and that authority can be reclaimed. Every rally will carry tension, every game will have subtext, and every set could shift the balance of their ongoing battle. The rivalry, once silent and growing, will be visible for all to see. Both players will feel it, the crowd will sense it, and the outcome will ripple beyond this single exhibition. This is not just another match. It is the next chapter of a story that started quietly, but now demands attention. Some rivalries aren't decided by one match, and tomorrow, the second chapter will begin, leaving the world to wonder, who will claim the first psychological edge? After Auckland, Alex Eala's status on the tour shifted overnight. She was no longer a hopeful talent quietly watched from the sidelines. She had become a player who had forced a veteran to confront her own vulnerabilities. Every practice, every rally, and every match leading into Kooyong would now carry the echoes of that first confrontation. The psychological weight of expectation, the eyes of fans and analysts, and the memory of victory created a new reality. Belief had arrived, and with it, burden. For Eala, belief wasn't just empowering, it demanded consistency. She couldn't afford to falter. Her calm, measured style, which had allowed her to survive the first set in Auckland and then seize control, would now be tested against a player who had learned from that loss. Every swing, every movement, every choice on court would be scrutinized. The stakes weren't just points or sets. They were about proving that the victory in Auckland wasn't a one-off, that it was the opening act in a rivalry destined to define her career. For Donna Vekić, the situation was equally charged but different. Veterans rarely fear their younger opponents. They fear the loss of authority. She had spent her career mastering control, learning when to wait, when to strike, and how to manipulate momentum. But Auckland had shown her that raw fearlessness could disrupt experience. The rivalry that had started quietly in Auckland now lingered in her mind with every warm-up, every practice, every plan leading into Kooyong. She needed to reassert dominance, to reclaim the narrative, to remind herself and the world that experience matters. The tension between the two wasn't just tactical, it was deeply personal. Eala carried confidence and the thrill of proving herself. Vekić carried pride and the lingering doubt of an unexpected loss. Each player approached training differently, each anticipated tomorrow differently, and each understood that this rematch was more than an exhibition. It was a battlefield for momentum, for identity, and for control. Their rivalry had moved beyond the court. Fans debated their styles, commentators speculated on mental edge, and every observer wondered who would claim supremacy. That psychological chess, layered over the physical contest, was what made this encounter more than just a game. Both players were aware the outcome wouldn't simply be a win or loss, it would define who owned the first chapter of a growing rivalry. Every serve, every return, every rally would be tested by memory and expectation. The first match had sown the seeds, and now the stakes were higher, the pressure thicker, and the eyes of the tennis world more attentive. The rivalry that had quietly formed in Auckland was now impossible to ignore, and both players were aware that this rematch would signal whether momentum or experience held sway. Because in a rivalry like this, winning isn't just about points, it's about proving who belongs and who will be remembered. Experience versus momentum. It's the simplest way to describe Eala and Donna Vekic's rivalry, yet it doesn't capture the intensity of what it means on the court. Momentum is fast, relentless, fearless. Experience is deliberate, calculated, and patient. Both collide, and the result is unpredictable, thrilling, and tense. The rivalry that started with one match in Auckland has evolved into a clash of generations. Eala's momentum is palpable. Her confidence, her timing, her ability to read and react under pressure, it grows with every point. She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't overthink. She adapts in real time, turning small openings into advantages and forcing opponents to scramble for answers. This is a player who has already proven she can disrupt authority, and that knowledge only fuels her resolve. Momentum gives her freedom and daring, and in a rivalry, those qualities can be as decisive as skill. Vekić embodies experience. Years on the tour, countless matches against top-tier opponents, and a reputation built on consistency and mental toughness are her weapons. She knows how to wait for mistakes, how to apply pressure in the right moment, how to manipulate pace and rhythm to regain control. Experience allows her to see patterns before they appear, and to anticipate threats in ways momentum alone cannot predict. For her, the rivalry is as much about control as it is about results. Every point is a test of whether instinct or wisdom will prevail. The fascinating tension in this rivalry lies in its duality. Momentum can overwhelm experience if it strikes early and relentlessly. Experience can neutralize momentum if patience and precision are applied correctly. Auckland proved that momentum can tip the scales, but Kooyong is a new opportunity for experience to fight back. The two forces will clash tomorrow, on the court, in real time, and with stakes beyond the scoreboard. Beyond tactics, this rivalry carries emotional weight. Eala has the confidence of youth, and she is determined to cement her status as a threat. Vekić has pride and legacy to protect, and she will fight to prevent a loss from defining her narrative. Every swing, every point carries the invisible tension of a rematch, the memory of Auckland, and the anticipation of what happens next. This is a rivalry that doesn't pause between matches. It grows in the mind, in preparation, in warm-ups, and in the collective consciousness of fans who watch and speculate. Every movement, every choice, every rally tomorrow will reveal which approach, momentum or experience, prevails under pressure. Because when momentum meets experience, every point tells a story, and every story leaves a mark on the rivalry. Rivalries don't need trash talk, dramatic gestures, or fiery confrontations. They need moments that matter. They need matches that force players to confront each other's strengths and weaknesses repeatedly. The rivalry between Eala and Donna Vekić is young, but already compelling because it is rooted in unfinished business. Auckland wasn't just a match. It was a declaration. Kooyong will be the continuation. What makes this rivalry unique is the speed at which it has escalated. Many rivalries simmer for years, building slowly through repeated meetings. This one grew explosively from the first set in Auckland, carried through mental preparation, and now arrives at Kooyong with immediate intensity. Both players know what is at stake: reputation, momentum, and psychological advantage. Every point in tomorrow's match will carry more than the standard weight of a rally. Each player will feel the history they created and the challenge they face in responding. Eala has tasted victory over Vekić. That win has transformed her mindset. She enters the court with belief, determination, and a sense of ownership over this rivalry. She knows she can push the veteran, test the limits, and command attention. For her, every rally tomorrow is an opportunity to solidify her place on the tour and remind everyone, including Vekić, that she is no longer an underdog. Vekić, on the other hand, will enter with a quiet intensity. She isn't merely defending points, she is defending her legacy, her authority, and her experience. Auckland reminded her that age and reputation do not guarantee control. Tomorrow, she will use every ounce of skill, patience, and tactical knowledge to reassert dominance. She knows that in a rivalry like this, perception can be as powerful as the scoreboard. The rivalry is more than a psychological contest. It has begun shaping the audience's perspective, the narrative of the season, and the anticipation for every match these two play in the future. Fans are no longer watching an isolated upset. They are witnessing the first chapters of a story that may define a new generation clash: youth versus experience, audacity versus control, momentum versus patience. Each point, each set, each rally is a conversation. Eala speaks through aggression and composure. Vekić replies with precision and patience. The audience is caught in the middle, sensing that this rivalry has just begun and that the real stakes are yet to be written. Because unfinished stories demand another chapter. And tomorrow, the next chapter will be written with every swing of the racket. Tennis has a subtle yet ruthless way of marking moments. There is a line between being underestimated and being feared. There is a line between youth showing promise and youth claiming authority. Eala has already crossed one such line. Donna Vekić will step onto the court tomorrow, knowing that she must prevent a second. This rivalry is no longer a subplot. It has become a central story, one written with every point, every rally, and every tense glance across the net. Eala carries belief and momentum from Auckland, reinforced by the knowledge that she can compete with and beat top-tier talent. That knowledge is liberating, but also demanding. Every shot, every strategy, every movement must now reflect her status. She cannot afford hesitation, because in a rivalry this intense, hesitation invites punishment. Vekić carries experience and legacy. Years on the tour have taught her how to handle pressure, how to anticipate threats, and how to control a match when it matters most. But the lesson from Auckland is clear: experience alone does not guarantee victory. The rivalry has reminded her that authority must be asserted, not assumed. Tomorrow, every decision, every serve, every return will carry psychological stakes beyond the scoreline. The fascinating aspect of this rivalry is how quickly it has shifted from a single match to a narrative force. It doesn't pause. It grows between encounters, in anticipation and in preparation. The physical match tomorrow is only one part of the story. The mental chess, the expectations, and the weight of memory will influence every swing. This is the essence of a rivalry, when the player's history begins shaping their present and future before the match is even played. Tomorrow is about momentum, belief, control, and the first psychological edge in a series that could define both careers. Eala wants to prove Auckland was no fluke. Vekić wants to remind everyone that experience matters. Each point will be a dialogue, each set a declaration, and the match an argument about who owns this rivalry. In tennis, some lines are crossed quietly, in a rally, in a glance, or in a decisive stroke. Tomorrow, that line will be tested again, and neither player will walk onto the court unaware of the consequences. The rivalry will grow, and the world will watch. Because once an underdog becomes a threat and a veteran must defend her authority, the tour never sees them the same way again. One match in Auckland changed everything. The underdog became a threat. The veteran faced a challenge she hadn't anticipated, and a rivalry was quietly born. Tomorrow at Kooyong, that story continues. Momentum, pride, and belief will clash once again, and the outcome could shape the narrative of both careers. Will Eala confirm her rise and cement her threat? Or will Donna Vekić reassert her authority and remind the world why experience matters? The answer won't just be in the scoreline, it will be in every swing, every rally, and every moment of intensity. If you want to witness every twist, every psychological battle, and every shocking turn in this rivalry, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Don't miss a single moment, because in a rivalry like this, every point tells a story, and every story matters.